Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and recently I've been hearing a lot of people talk about how they have trouble making friendships and making new relationships with people because they think they're too needy or they're being a toxic friend, and everyone just seems to leave around them after they get to know them. So I'm going to be talking about how to attract people towards you instead of push them away. So a big thing that people tend to do, especially people with mental health disorders, they tend to either keep everything in or overshare. And I'm going to be talking about oversharing mostly because when you're sharing too much about your personal life or your personal problems or your disorder and you keep talking about it, it kind of scares them away a little. It's like, oh, like I know too much about you now and I don't know if like I want to deal with all of this sort of thing. But if you talk to them about basic things, kind of make the small talk that I actually hate, but it's kind of necessary at the beginning, like what do you like to do? Like how are you doing, like every once in a while. It helps them get to know you more, so then when you think that they're ready to hear the more important things about you and like you can tell them these things and they might be more willing to listen and stay around because they already know the kind of person you are. But I know people, I've talked to people who tell me everything right when they meet me. They're like, oh, I feel really bad because of this and this and this, and I've been dealing with this forever. And like, I try to be really supportive, but sometimes it's kind of a turn off when they're always talking about their problems and like they want your advice and they want emotional support. It just feels exhausting from the very beginning, and kind of I haven't had the time to really start caring about them. So then it feels more like I'm just a tool rather than a friend. Another thing that people have issues with when it comes to friendships is regretting their mistakes. So they might believe they shouldn't have said something, or they wish they had said something a different way. And that's understandable. You don't want to make the same mistakes twice, and that's one thing you have to make sure you realize your mistakes and you don't just keep making them over and over again. So when I was talking about oversharing at first, people have said that people block them after a couple of days of talking to them, even though they were really responsive at first. And that's something that you should reflect on. Like, why did they block me? What did I say that made them turn away? And that's one of the things you have to be aware of, learning from your mistakes and taking a different route next time, because there's always going to be more people that you can meet and more people out there that are going to be willing to talk to you. It's just important that you know how to keep them around and to attract people towards yourself instead of pushing them away. Another major thing that we tend to do is talk about ourselves all the time. It's normal for everyone to think about themselves all the time because, yes, it is your world to yourself. Everyone is living in their own world, so you're always constantly thinking about yourself. But it's really hard to create new friendships when you're only talking about yourself. So if you're talking about your problems and they keep listening and giving you advice, and then you keep coming to them with more problems, and you're like, oh, I'm having a bad day today, and then it turns into every day and they're trying to help you, but you really don't know what they're going through, that eventually turns them away because they feel like they're not getting anything out of the friendship and that you're just being needy. Besides always talking about yourself, another thing is being negative all the time. You talk about how sad you are, or how you can't fall asleep, or how you're worried about something, or how you're depressed and can't get out of bed. And it can be a little bit exhausting for the other person if they feel like they always have to try to comfort you. And there's really nothing they can do at the very beginning of a friendship, especially if you meet them over the internet. They can only do so much. So after a while, it becomes more of a hassle for them to continue talking to you which may be the reason why they stop talking to you, become distant, or unfriend you or block you. Another thing that I've experienced a few times, and I'm sure you have, is when people overreact to things and get offended super easily and get mad at you for things that you didn't intend to be offending, or if you were just trying to give advice and they took it personally and started attacking you for it. Getting upset over little things can also be a turnoff, and it's okay every once in a while to get a little upset and then apologize, but when it happens over and over again, it also, I keep saying this, but it tends to get exhausting, and it's just something you really want to avoid. Another thing that might turn people away is seeking too much validation. So if you're like, are you sure you like me? Are you sure you want to talk to me? Are you going to be there for me all the time? I want to be your really good friend, or things like that. You're seeking too much validation, and they're like, it puts too much pressure on them at the beginning because they don't know if they're still going to be friends with you in a year or two. You just met. So saying those things and kind of trying to force them to make yourself feel more worthy of their attention may be also a little too much for them. So when someone is supporting you all the time, it's also important to ask how they're doing and also support them, because friendship goes both ways. And that is something I have noticed also with a few friendships that I've had. Sometimes I've been the person that always talks about the problems and doesn't listen to the other person or just doesn't ask. Some people are really kind of closed off and they don't share things if you don't ask. And sometimes even when you ask, they say, oh yeah, everything's fine, even though they're going through some stuff. So if they end up trying to talk to you about something, make sure you stop and listen to them instead of kind of rolling over their problems with your own. So the last thing that's really important is taking silence as a sign, because no one just stops talking for no reason. If you notice that happening, I would suggest not being too obsessive about it and kind of taking a step back and processing what really happened before you try to fix things. So those are my quick tips. Actually, it wasn't very quick, but so yeah. If you guys liked this video and want to see more videos about tips or any stories that I've had in the past, make sure you subscribe and like this video. So yeah, see you guys later.